This talk is about a problem that most threat hunting teams have, but they don't really want to talk about or name, and it's that we forget our own work. We hunt something brilliant on a Tuesday, and 6 months later, 1 year later, nobody can find the queries that were executed, the hypothesis, or why the hunt was stopped. And that's hunt amnesia. And in 2026, it's still the single biggest thing standing between you and AI augmented threat hunting that actually works. So, as mentioned, I am Sydney Marrone. I'm the head of threat hunting at a company called Nebulock. Also founded Thor Collective. So, we have a Substack called Dispatch, which I will share at the end. And we also do projects on GitHub, like open source projects one's called Hearth. I wrote the Agentic threat hunting framework, which we're going to get into, and I also co-wrote the Peak threat hunting framework with David Bianco, who I know is also speaking as part of the summit, and also Dr. Ryan Fetterman. And as mentioned before, I do make music with AI, and it's under Mayhex. So go check it out. It's on all the platforms. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. So let's dive into this talk. So, Threat Hunter Starter Pack. A lot of people can probably resonate with this. You have multiple browser tabs open. You have your notes scribbled somewhere like a half-finished notebook. You have a query file that you named test underscore final underscore version 1, 2, 3, 4. Plenty of coffee or some sort of caffeine. And then you have certainty that you're going to remember it. You're like, no way, I'm not going to forget this. You won't. The hunt happened. The memory didn't. And that's not a personal failure to anyone. It happens to us all. It's a tooling failure. So nothing in your stack was built to remember the hunt the way a hunter actually thinks about it. And there is a price to all of this. Same hypothesis, possibly hunted twice. The same dead end walked twice. A new hunter joins and they're starting from zero. Not because the work doesn't exist, but because the work is not easily findable. So it's in Slack, it's in Jira, it's in Google Docs, wherever you're taking your notes, you have to go find it somewhere. Multiply that across a team, across a year, and everyone is forgetting what they just learned. And that's the actual ceiling on threat hunting maturity right now. So it's not the tooling, it's not the data, it's memory. I mentioned Peak before, which is another threat hunting framework. And we developed this while I was at Splunk, but it's completely open source and vendor agnostic. It stands for prepare, execute, and act with knowledge. So prepare is where we begin our hunt plan. And so we're doing scoping. We're getting ready to actually run the hunt. Execute is that orange box in the middle. It's what you think of when you think of threat hunting. It's that fun part where you're executing queries, you are analyzing the results, and you're iterating on them. Now, act is where everything is documented and shared. Now, the orange arrow is the part that a lot of people tend to skip or forget about. And I think it's the most important part. And this is knowledge. So knowledge is connected to all parts of the hunt. You are gaining knowledge, you are sharing knowledge throughout all the stages of a threat hunt. And hunts are supposed to compound across cycles, not evaporate at the end of one. So if the loop closes, your team gets smarter every quarter. If it doesn't, every hunt is just like starting from zero. Now, let's talk about the Agentic threat hunting framework, which is something I released end of last year. It's another open source vendor agnostic framework. It's available on GitHub. Compared to other frameworks like Peak, Peak is the cycle that humans run. ATHF is how AI agents join that cycle as collaborators, not replacements. We're not replacing our threat hunters, we're enabling them. Now, most of the time, AI is used on top of your unstructured hunt notes. and it's kind of a fancy search bar. You're just grepping through to see what you can find or doing string searches. Now, ATHF is only going to work if your past hunts are readable to a human or even a model. So we need structuring, and that's the job of lock. The lock is 4 moves. We have learn, which is what the hypothesis is. What's the threat context? Observe. What does normal look like? What does suspicious look like? Check. These are our queries. So we're writing down any queries we're executing, the results from them, the analysis, and the iterations that we're doing. Keep is the decisions that we made as part of this, the lessons learned, the next hunt that this one spawned. Now there's 4 moves, and they all go into one hunt file. This is a markdown file, and that's the whole format. So the hard part is fitting everything into those 4 headings, but the payoff is for future you, your future teammate that gets onboarded, and future AI. They're all reading the same shape because of that structure you've given your hunts. Let's walk through a markdown file and see what does it actually encompass. At the top, we have our YAML front matter. And this is where we have a lot of the important details of the hunt that you would want as a human, but also as AI. And 2 things really matter. One, it's structured. So it's machine readable without any fancy parsing. And 2, every field is a fact about the hunt that future you will actually need. So we can see here, when did the hunt run, what TTPs were executed, what were the results, and then also what is it linked to. And when I say that the front matter is the index your AI reads first, it literally is. So an agent can scan 200 of these in under a second and know your team's coverage without even opening all the files and the body of the file. So it really speeds up when you're working with AI and trying to go through all your records. Once we have that front matter, below that is going to be the body. And this is where lock comes into play. So we have those lock headings. We have learn. Remember, that's the hypothesis. So this is an example. Launch agents writing to library combined with curl pipe to shell as a digit stealer style persistence pattern. We have observe. So what does normal look like? Homebrew, Jamf. Probably you can filter those out versus what we treat suspicious. Launch CTL bootstrap into curl HTTP, something we probably want to dig into. Now check is going to be the queries and what they returned. So we can see here we have some queries that were executed in the results and what was malicious or not. And then keep, where we're kind of stating everything that was done. So came back to be a negative finding, meaning we disproved the hypothesis. We did get 2 follow-up hunts spawned, and we also found a telemetry gap that we did not know about, which is huge. So notice the negative is the first outcome. Just because it's negative does not mean it's bad. A negative hunt that you have all the documentation for and you have findings for, like a telemetry gap, is going to be way more valuable than a hunt where you found something but you don't have any notes for. So anything you are digging into and can record and find is going to be super useful and valuable to the team in the future. I usually get these questions when I talk about using markdown files, but the questions are why not use something like Notion? Why not use Confluence? Why not a ticketing system? And I have 3 reasons behind that. So your front matter is structured. So your AI can easily query it. The sections are predictable. You have that lock structure that you can stick with every single time, and your whole team can stick with it too. And lastly, the markdown is diffable. So Git history is going to show you exactly what you changed and why. Now, if you have your AI agent, say you have Claude Code, or you have Copilot, or you have Codex, and it's reading through 200 of your hunt files, you might ask it, what have we hunted on for macOS persistence? It can dig through all those files and specifically the front matter and determine, did we hunt this? Or what have we hunted? Now try that on 200 Notion pages. Like it's going to hallucinate because Notion was not designed for that. If I had to choose the fields that are the most important, um, status is going to be one of them. So we're going to want to know, is the hunt completed? Is it in progress? Is it to do? This is something that you're going to want to filter on so the AI doesn't cite your half-finished work. Tactics and techniques from MITRE ATT&CK are huge. They can help you create a coverage map, and you can do cross hunt joins as well. Related hunts is going to be the graph, so that's how AI goes from one hunt to the other. And then your findings count, your true positives. This is going to be your signal to noise ratio. And lastly, tags. So these can be really helpful, and it's like a soft index for things that don't have a specific code yet. If you skip these, your AI is going to guess. It's probably going to hallucinate because it has to look through all the context of your file. So this is a really critical piece that your AI needs to actually cite from. All right, we talked a lot about theory. Now let me show you what it actually looks like. So I asked my AI assistant, Claude, what did we learn about macOS persistence from our last 3 hunts? One question. So no retrieval engineering. The hunts are just sitting on my host in this format that I mentioned, the markdown files. Comes back with the technique that was hunted, what all the findings were, each one narrowed down to the last, and just like a quick summary of what actually happened as part of that hunt. So I don't have to go into each hunt file and dig through and determine what was the result of it each. And this can be as verbose or simple as you need it. But you can see here we have those 3 hunts, and we have various findings that were uncovered as part of each of them. They're all 3 negative hunts, which again is not a bad thing. This just tells me more about my environment, and I can learn from all those findings that were uncovered as part of the hunt. Now, this works because every hunt was in the proper format. So we have lock, as I mentioned, that structure that is super critical to keeping your hunts in order and having a human be able to read them, but also AI be able to read them. So if there's no format, there's no memory. Now, AI is not magic. It's reading from something like markdown files that it was designed to be read. There's no memory, there's no AI leverage. It's that simple, and it is easy to follow. Now, Hunt 1, written from scratch, that's where you start. Hunt 50, half of the work is already on your disk or in your GitHub repo or Git repo. You're looking at prior hypotheses, you're looking at prior queries, prior negatives, prior positives, And by Hunt 200, the hunters that are onboarding will read your repo rather than being shadowing a senior. So these numbers are very illustrative, and your team's curve is going to be its own, but the shape is real. So hunting compounds the same way every other piece of knowledge discipline compounds. And similar to how in Peak we have that knowledge, we have this memory that we're using as part of Lock and the Agentic Threat Hunting Framework, which is really going to compound over time, and your team's just going to gain more knowledge. You're probably wondering, like, how do I start? Start small. You don't need to retrofit 2 years of threat hunts into this format. You don't need executive buy-in. You don't need a new tool. Just open a Git repo, take my template from the Agentic Threat Hunting Framework, and write your first hunt. Hunt 0001, the hunt that you're already executing this week. 4 sections. We want to keep that lock format and structure, because remember, that is key. 1 file. So your 50th hunt is very far away, but your hunt 1 can be tomorrow or Monday. Uh, Thank you. I am Sydney Marrone, as mentioned. You can find me at Let's Waste Time on lots of the socials. Otherwise, dispatch.thorcollective.com is where Thor Collective runs their Substack. So we post about every other week about threat hunting or cybersecurity, like all different facets of it. And it's free. Come check it out, subscribe. Another tool, which I briefly mentioned, but I'll touch on it more, Hearth, which is hearth.thorcollective.com, is a GitHub repository of threat hunting ideas and hypotheses. So if you or your team are trying to figure out what should I hunt next, I would recommend checking Hearth out, and might be able to get some ideas. You might be able to contribute. If you contribute, I will send you stickers. So um, also, Agentic Threat Hunting Framework is on agenticthreathuntingframework.com, or just Google it and you'll find the GitHub repo, and everything is in there to help you get started and use AI for threat hunting.